It is wild card weekend, and what did Mike Tomlin say leading into our third matchup with Baltimore this season? Joey Porter Jr. is the most important player on the Steelers defense. I'll tell you why. And Justin Fields. Could we finally see Fields set free and give him an opportunity to help us win this very important wild card matchup against the Baltimore Ravens? Picture our offense that has been sputtering as a car on the side of the highway that needs to be jump started, and Justin Fields is the jumper cable. This guy could do what we need right now to bring this offense back to life. I'll tell you all about it later in this video, as well as injury updates, including a Steelers key player that is injured and may not play against Baltimore tonight. A lot to talk about because we're in the playoffs and it's wild card weekend. So much football is going on, and we're just grateful that the Steelers are a part of it. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Steelers Digest. We cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers, Steelers news, reports, updates, rumors, analysis, everything here on Steelers Digest. So hit that sub button and let's get right into it. We are first going to talk about Mike Tomlin being very composed and focused on mentality heading into this weekend against the Ravens. Mike Tomlin is known for being this even-keeled guy. He stays chill no matter what, and he just says these really smart things. People make fun of it sometimes and say, oh, Tomlinisms or whatnot, but really, Mike Tomlin is a genius, right? He wouldn't be as good of a coach as he is. He wouldn't have the record that he has if he wasn't a smart dude. So everything that Mike Tomlin says, I just listen and I try to get some kind of wisdom from it. And my key takeaways from what he said, which we're going to show you here in a second, what Mike Tomlin said heading into this game. He said, I better be willing to display what I ask our guys to display. As the road gets narrow and you get into playoff football, I'm really cognizant of that. It's important that my actions match my words, that they get their tenor from me or their quarterback, talking about Russell Wilson. Those of us who are prescribed leaders within this industry by job title or position. I'm just highly sensitive to that my actions are aligned with my words and that I display the things that I've asked them to display, them being his players. So that's why I say Mike Tomlin is just a smart dude, because everything he says comes across as like, just this father figure, like leadership type role that he has over these players, in this organization. He just is such a good leader. And when Mike Tomlin talks, we listen for a reason. He's a really good speaker and he says these smart things where his mentality is like a winning mentality. That's why he's been so successful. So him talking about how important it is to keep that same mentality going into the Ravens weekend, and just understanding that him and Russell Wilson, these prescribed leaders that he talks about, are going to be crucial because the team is going to follow their lead. These are guys that have earned everybody's respect. And that's what I meant when I said kind of like a father figure. These players love Mike Tomlin. They love playing for Mike Tomlin and they respect the heck out of him. So him and Russ, knowing that they've already won Super Bowls before, knowing that they know how to win playoff games, the team is going to follow their lead. So if Mike Tomlin says something like that, showing that, hey, I'm not worried at all, I'm even keeled heading into this matchup just like any other game. Playoffs is a different breed of football. He even said that, but he still understands what it takes to win. And as long as his team has a set mentality, Mike Tomlin stays composed because he expects his team to stay composed as well and not let their emotions get the best of them. So we move into the next topic today, which is nobody is giving the Steelers a chance to beat Baltimore. And I can't say that I blame them. The Steelers haven't given anybody a reason to believe in this team anymore, man. They have lost 4 games in a row. It has been a rough stretch. Very rough stretch for the Steelers heading into the playoffs. The worst, really second worst, losing streak heading into the playoffs by a playoff team in NFL history. That is something, I don't like it. But we weren't able to snap the streak, right? We had chances to win the game against the Bengals. The defense played decent. Our offense has been a serious problem, right? So something's got to give, and I believe in this team. I really do. And let's first show you what the actual analysts said, because hey, they even picked the score of the game. I didn't go that far, but they picked the score of the game. Everybody on NFL Network had Ravens Every one of them. Half of them said that it would be a one-score game, and half of them expect the Ravens to cover the spread and win by multiple scores. So it was 50-50, right? Half of them think that it's going to be a close game, which means, they understand Steelers-Ravens rivalry and how all these games typically are close. Another thing to note in, the predictions there, these guys are obviously experts. The scores, the highest number that you see on that list is 30. 30. So they're expecting maybe something similar to our last matchup with the Baltimore Ravens, where we're seeing the game be a low scoring, AFC North type game. And I'm not, not surprised by that. Not surprised by that at all. I think when we play the Ravens, especially in a playoff game where there's a lot more at stake, you have to expect it to be low scoring. You have to expect the defense to ball out. These are the two of the best defenses in the entire NFL, the Steelers and the Ravens, right? And Lamar Jackson, who I'm going to talk about next, has not had a ton of success against the Steelers, which is one of the main reasons we should believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's talk about that now, because it's a perfect segue talking about why we should win this game. Well, I'll tell you why we should win this game. It's because Lamar Jackson struggles against Pittsburgh, and not to mention, he struggles in the playoffs. The Ravens are choke artists. Some of the best choke artists in the NFL. They do this every year. They're a regular season merchant team that goes in there and wins 10, 11, 12, 13 games, and then come playoff time, they get it handed to them, and we have a chance to be the team that does it. So Lamar's numbers, they speak for themselves against any other team. Any other team, Lamar Jackson puts up MVP numbers, but when he plays the Pittsburgh Steelers, hey, we got a little bit different story there with Lamar. And Lamar is 2-4 in his career against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and 2-4 in the playoffs. Completion percentage hovering 57-58% there. Touchdowns to interceptions, well, let's just say he's thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns, and every game he's played the Steelers, he's thrown at least one interception. So the passer rating may be a little bit better in the playoffs than against the Steelers, but in the 70s, that's still not good, and that's definitely not Lamar Jackson numbers right there. So just take that into consideration and remember that Lamar Jackson does struggle against the Steelers and in the playoffs. So they have a lot to prove. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He knows he's one of the best players in the NFL. Lamar knows that, right? He plays with a lot of confidence, and he's going to go into this game knowing, hey, I could prove the doubters wrong in one fell swoop. I could beat the Steelers, and I can win a playoff game all in one. So Lamar knows, hey, we're big favorites, but he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to win this game. Think back to 2008, right? Think back to 2008. Troy Polamalu got the jersey up there. Troy Polamalu had a pick six to steal the game in the AFC Championship in 2008. Steelers posted it on their social media a little bit ago this morning. I saw it and I was like, yes, Troy Polamalu. Think about Minkah Fitzpatrick doing that, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson has thrown a pick every game against the Steelers. If he throws a pick and it's a Minkah Fitzpatrick pick or a Joey Porter Jr. pick and we take it to the house, that could change the whole game. That could be what we need to win the game. So I'm just saying we need a little bit of Troy Polamalu on our side, one of my favorite Steelers of all time. If somebody could just make that big play, man, even if it's a TJ Watt punch out, TJ Watt won the PFF award for the highest graded run defender in the league this year. So obviously stopping Lamar, stopping Derrick Henry, it's going to be a focal point. Lamar has struggled against the Steelers, so it's really Derrick Henry that beat us last time out. So if TJ Watt's on his game, hopefully he's rested up and healthy now. Cam Hayward's been fantastic, especially at breaking up passes. I mean, he's been swatting balls down left and right, especially in that Bengals game. He is up there with the DBs in the league in passes defense. So we expect big things from our first team All-Pro, Cam Hayward, and our second team All-Pro, TJ Watt, who I have no idea how he's a second team All-Pro. That's pretty crazy. But he's still an All-Pro nevertheless. So let's talk about the defensive strategy heading in this game. Obviously, like I said, we got to stop Derrick Henry. But I talked about it in the open, how Joey Porter Jr. is actually the most important player for the Steelers in this game. The reason why I say that is because no Zay Flowers for the Ravens. Not having Zay Flowers changes the Ravens' offense substantially because he is their big play guy. He's their weapon X, outside of Lamar and Derrick Henry. He's their most talented player on the offensive side of the ball. He's the guy that stretches the field, that allows Lamar Jackson to do what Lamar does. He finds a way to get open. He's got that breakaway speed, and he always seems to hit you with a big play. Rashad Bateman, on the other hand, has not really beat the Steelers this year. When we play the Ravens, we have held Bateman in check. And the recipe to doing that is Joey Porter Jr. So I'm going to show you guys a couple different things here. The first thing I'm going to show you is that the initial scouting report was that the Ravens were going to be fine without Zay Flowers. That was the initial scouting report. They said, hey, the offense still looks good. You know, I watched a couple of their clips from practice that was on this website, Steelers Depot. Great website, by the way, for all you Steelers fans. And then Alex Kozora wrote this article about the actual Ravens, how they were looking, you know, including videos, like I said, some scouting of the Ravens practices without their big play guy, Zay Flowers, and they looked fine. Well, a few days later, I find this other article, and I was kind of already thinking about this, so it's cool to see that someone else had the same opinion as me on this matter. No Flowers means that literally Joey Porter Jr. could just shadow Rashad Bateman the entire game, and then we can focus on stopping Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and then obviously Justice Hill and Derrick Henry, the running back duo that the Ravens have going for them. So the two tight ends, the two running backs are going to be keys. Can our linebackers keep up with Mark Andrews? I don't know. I really don't. He beat us before. He could beat us again. But the focal point is Joey Porter Jr. making sure that the Ravens receivers do not beat us. And the recipe for success is having Joey Porter Jr. shadow Rashad Bateman. That is my personal opinion, and that is what this says as well on this article about Rashad Bateman possibly being shadowed by Joey Porter Jr. Managed just 3 receptions for 44 yards, but did have a touchdown in 2 previous games versus the Steelers this season. So I do think that Joey Porter Jr. is the most important player for the Steelers on defense, with the fact that Zay Flowers is not playing. If Zay Flowers was playing, I'd have a different take on that. But because there's no Zay, you have to understand that Joey Porter Jr. blanketing Rashad Bateman could be the recipe and the key to victory for Pittsburgh tonight. It's a big deal. It's a big deal when you don't have your big play guy. You saw it happen with the Steelers when they didn't have George Pickens for the longest time, and that really affected the offense. So if your go-to guy isn't there, that's your first read on most plays, him or Mark Andrews. Now you're going to really look at Mark Andrews, and the Steelers have an opportunity to bracket him now and put 2 guys on Mark Andrews in situations where it makes sense to make sure that he's not beating us. So it changes the focal point of our defense. It changes the way we can, line up and strategize. And I think if we stop Andrews and Likely, we have a really good chance of winning the game. So our linebackers have to be on their A game. Obviously, Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen. Talked about TJ Watt, Ken Hayward, focused on stopping the run. Maybe Ken Hayward bats down a couple balls as well. Minka Fitzpatrick or Joey Porter Jr., get the pick. Minka got it last time against the Ravens. That was his first pick in a really long time. Maybe he gets another one this game, takes it to the house. Don't call me on that, but I'm just saying, hey, I would not be surprised. I saw a vision. Minka Fitzpatrick, pick 6 against the Ravens tonight. So I'm just saying, hey, just keep an eye out for it. We got Troy Polamalu in our corner. It could happen. It'd be crazy. I'd love to watch it. It could happen. It could happen, guys. So then we go on to the next topic, which is more injury news. Obviously, Zay Flowers missing for the Ravens is a big one. For us, it's a little bit more detrimental than that, I would say. It is Mason McCormick. So Mason McCormick, our starting guard, our rookie, who has been a fantastic addition to the team. It would truly be a huge loss at this point if he does not play. Up front, our offensive line played well enough this year to get Najee another 1,000-yard season in a down year. We got rookie Zach Frazier at center, rookie Mason McCormick at guard, obviously Sumalu on the other side. The O-line's been, the tackles have been the main concern, obviously, but we don't have our first-round pick, Troy Fatanu, who obviously a great player. I'm excited to see what he could do. Broderick Jones, Dan Moore, not sure what we're going to do on the other side come next year, but we'll see. Maybe we draft another tackle. I don't know. But right now, the focal point is how are we going to function without Mason McCormick? Because this guy is a huge piece on this team, and the Steelers might not have him in this game. He broke his hand against the Bengals, and he is questionable. So I'm not sure. They haven't actually revealed that he is going to play or not going to play at this point as of me recording this video. But we still have 8 hours to game time, boys, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm sorry about the advertisement that's on the screenshot. You can't make them all clean. It's kind of difficult on some of these websites that are really trying to promote some stupid stuff. But Mason McCormick could be out tonight, which is a big deal. That's all we really need to say about that, is that our star rookie guard may not be in the lineup. Frazier and McCormick, two top 10, I think top 7 offensive linemen as far as rookies are concerned this season. So it would be a big, deep damage thing for the Steelers not to have Mason McCormick against the defense as potent as the Baltimore Ravens. That is very good at stopping the run as is. And again, our running game struggled. So then you take McCormick out of there, it's even worse. So I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, it's going to come down to Russell Wilson anyways, but can Russ outplay Lamar Jackson? That's really the question mark that we have going into this game. But at the quarterback position, we do have something that the Ravens do not have. And I talked about it last video. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the last video. What I'm talking about, you guys know, Justin Fields. Find a way to utilize this man because he can help. He is so talented. And he has abilities that Russell Wilson does not have. It would be a change of pace to put him out there and let him run some plays, man. I don't care if it's a triple option, a read option. I don't care if we let him throw the ball. The guy is talented. We're talking about this possibly being the Steelers' last game of the season. This is the first time we've had 2 talented quarterbacks on the roster for a while. You know, think back to Big Ben's days. We haven't had a good quarterback since. So now we get Russ and Justin, and we have a situation in front of us where we may finish the season without fully unlocking Justin Fields. And then what are we doing at quarterback next year? Are we keeping Russell Wilson and then drafting a quarterback late in the draft like Dylan Gabriel and letting him learn under Russell Wilson, you know, like a late round pick, Kyle McCord, I don't know. Or are we signing Justin Fields? Or is he our franchise guy? He doesn't want to leave Pittsburgh. I know a lot of players say that. There's an argument I got into last night watching Ohio State. But, you know, these players want to be here. They want to play for Mike Tomlin. If Justin Fields wants to be there, then he should be there. We got to give him an opportunity that the Bears weren't able to give him, and that's an actual good team around him and a chance to win some football games. And how do we know unless we put him in the game? We got to give this guy a chance. He did great to start the season and then never heard from again. What did Arthur Smith have to say when asked about Justin Fields? Well, he said they're open to utilizing him. Same thing Mike Tomlin said that I talked about last video. We aren't going to leave any stone unturned. And that's what I want Arthur Smith to say because I'm a little mad at Arthur Smith lately. His play calling has been half the reason our offense has been terrible. But Arthur Smith, let's do this. Let's utilize Justin Fields even just a little bit. Give the Ravens something else to think about. Give them a different look. Give us a better chance to win the football game. Our backs are against the wall. We have nothing to lose. We want to beat the Ravens. This is round 3. Round 1 went to Pittsburgh. Round 2 went to Baltimore. We get our 3rd game against these guys, a familiar opponent in the same season, and Justin Fields could be the answer. Just give it a chance. Just let him play some snaps. Get him in there on like a 3rd and short. Get him in there on a 1st down. Get him in there in the red zone. Try something. We have nothing to lose. No stone unturned has to be the mentality going into this game because this game, this day is Judgment Day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is Judgment Day. Look at this from Andrew Filipponi. Literally, today is Judgment Day. By the end of the night, the Steelers will either tie for the longest playoff losing streak in the NFL or they will pull off the biggest playoff upset in team history. Which one will it be? Great question, but he answered it correctly. Here we go. Let's just root for this team. Let's just pull for our boys and hope that we can pull this off. There's always a crazy upset in the NFL playoffs. There always is. Every year, there's a crazy upset, usually one in the AFC and the NFC. Usually 2 upsets, right? So in the NFC, you know, you can look at the bracket and you can see a couple different scenarios of how it might play out. You can see the Commanders maybe getting an upset win over Tampa Bay, maybe Green Bay over Philly. You never know. In the AFC, you know, I don't really see a scenario where the Broncos beat the Bills. I mean, I guess it's possible. Bo Nick's been playing good football, just as good as Josh Allen lately. And then you look at the Steelers game against the Ravens, you know, 2 teams that know each other really well. And then personally, I really do like the Chargers to beat Houston. I don't think Houston's really that good of a playoff team. Could they prove me wrong and upset me? Yeah, probably, sure. My good friend Mike Zanetti, who actually runs the channel Texans Digest, go check him out if you haven't already. He was telling me that home teams are really what you got to look at instead of favorites on the betting line. So he thinks that maybe the home teams will take the day with Houston, obviously being at home despite being an underdog. He believes in his team. And I, just like I do with the Steelers, I think we have a good chance tonight. I think if we play our best game, we can win. But obviously, you just got to watch the game and see, right? So I'm really excited. It's playoff weekend, wild card weekend. Anything can happen. We're in the playoffs. That's the important part. Now let's go get the job done, boys. Pittsburgh Steelers, Steelers Nation. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And here we go, Steelers, right? Penguins Digest. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. It's definitely going to be stressful, and it's going to take some years off all of our lives. So let's just enjoy it while we have it. And hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers can come through for us and pull through. Get this big win over the Ravens, and then, honestly, who cares what happens after that? I know a lot of you guys have sights set on a Super Bowl. I kind of lost that hope a little while back after we, went on that losing streak early in the season. Yeah, I could see it, but it's gonna be a tough path, right? Beat the Ravens, then you got to play Kansas City most likely. So it's gonna be tough. But these are teams we know, teams we played before. Let's focus on Baltimore first. Divisional game, round 3. It's a heavyweight bout. 2 really good teams. Anything can happen in the playoffs. That's why it's wild card weekend, because it's wild. Anything can happen. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what to expect. You could say anything, and it could be right. It could be wrong. It's a coin flip. It's really a coin flip. I don't like the spread of this game. I don't understand why the Ravens are projected to blow the Steelers out, other than, yeah, we're on a losing streak. Okay, so what? These are teams that know each other, and the Steelers have a winning record. Mike Tomlin has a winning record against John Harbaugh, and the Steelers have a really good resume against the Ravens, specifically Lamar Jackson's Ravens. So, thank you guys for watching this episode of Steelers Digest. Game tonight's going to be crazy, and we'll be back with a recap of the game, good or bad. We'll still be here on Steelers Digest. You can rely on us for the latest news, rumors, updates, analysis, everything relating to your Pittsburgh Steelers. So one last thing, and I'll say it here, say it again. Here we go, Steelers. Let's get this dub, guys.